Hey, how are you? I'm really stoked to chat to you. I'm obviously speaking to Danny, but then sometimes when I see in some interviews, you're called Manny as well, aren't you?
Yeah, that's kind of the I guess the confusing struggle of being from Iceland. That you're kind of like that's my middle name, Máni, which is kind of what I go for in what I go as in Iceland.
Yeah,
But
I've
but
seen it in some press.
yeah,
Yeah,
but elsewhere it's just kind of I don't know. I feel like it's always a tall order to get acquaintances and people you meet
yeah,
to kind of acclimate to a totally new dialect just to remember my name. So I have a first name, Daniel, which I'm perfectly happy with. That's what my grandmother always called me. So
yeah.
I'm very happy with being Dan, Danny, or Daniel. That's perfectly fine.
That's good. So how are you going? It's all going good. Because you've been pretty busy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Definitely going good. We've kept busy, I would say, yes, for sure. But we've had some time off now for a little bit. We haven't been, yeah, taking a short break until we have this upcoming tour in middle of November, which is in the US, and then we've got Australia late January, so it's going to be kind of like a top loaded start of next
Yeah,
year and bottom heavy end of this one. But we've kind of just been working on new music, working on our live show, like doing these practical things, preparing for these runs that we have coming up.
yeah,
We had a busy start of the year with two tours almost back to back. Only it's like two
yeah,
weeks,
yeah. I've
two
seen
weeks
that.
between
Yeah,
them or so. So we did the US and Europe headline tours both. And while that was for sure kind of like packed and it was a lot of work, it was maybe like the best time touring I've had, and we collectively as a band, it was both very successful tours, ran really smoothly. It was very fun to do like good headline tours to kind of like uh yeah, kind of recoup the fruits of our labor from
yeah,
the last couple of years, because it's the first band's headliner since COVID. So it's
yeah.
like it's been a while. But it's been good. I mean, we've certainly got nothing to complain about. The band is in a good place. We're having fun. It's just like overall a good deal, I would say.
Yeah, it's ticking all the positive boxes.
Yeah,
I was going to say because you joined the band in around 22, if I'm correct. Yeah.
correct. Yes.
How was that kind of transition for you? Because obviously I'm aware of your other bands that we were
Hmm.
talking about earlier about your name, but I'm probably going to stuff that your band's name up because I'm
Oh, no
very
worries.
yeah,
Thin
but
Misere is
I
the
know
one.
yeah, Ophidian one, is that right?
Oh, it's Ophidian Eye. Uh,
Ophidian Eye. See, there you go. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
almost, but no worries, no worries.
yeah, because they're very tech. So how was that kind of transition over to Aborted? Because obviously it's very it's switching to a brutal side of things, and I know there's a crossover, but how is
Mhm.
that kind of transition and then stepping into obviously the shoes of the previous member as well?
Well, I would say that it's all been very smooth.
Yeah,
Yeah, for the most part. I definitely enjoyed good from just the guys all being very like-minded. Everybody's kind of got their feet on the ground. Everybody's very skilled in their field, so it's a very nice band to kind of operate in when you just have to have your things on
mm,
Crystal. You have to be perfectly on it, of course, but that's just kind of when you're in a band at that
yeah,
level, it's
yeah.
kind of that's the least you got to be able to do. So it's been very nice, honestly. Yeah, like I said, like having the guys be the characters that they are, uh, with just like a very accepting and kind of good personalities to be around. Nobody's a whack job. Everybody's just, you know,
Yeah,
cool. So I had an easy time, I would say, coming into the band because of that. I was just kind of like respected, and I was trusted for various duties for the band early on as well, which I appreciated a lot and I'm very thankful for. So I would say that I'm very lucky in terms of those things. And honestly, like as far as stepping into the shoes of others, like I kind of didn't really think about it, to be
Yeah,
honest. I I because I've been a fan of Aborted for a long time. And even though I've liked all the band's material, releases, etc., I've always also had like ideas about it. I'm like, it
mm,
would be cool though if it would be like a little more this or a little more that. So I remember when I joined, I was kind of itching in my skin to kind of just like do that, to
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
like I have all these ideas that I want to kind of get to. So I didn't really stick around to get too deep in my head, you know.
No, 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 you can't really because you got to. I mean, you got to make it your own, and but you obviously you've been in quite a few bands as well, so you make that adjustment, and it's not, that's always,
Yeah.
it needs to be straightforward. And as you said, they're very easygoing people, so that makes it a good transition.
Oh, absolutely.
And then as you're stepping into those songs as well because it's quite a, yeah, it's wearing different hats, but that's what, like a lot of musicians do that, so that's
Yeah, and
now,
like you said, it's like even though there is crossover, it's still all fairly different. So it's like it's with Aborted, it's also like kind of it's a it's an established band with a sonic palette that's fairly clear. You know
yeah,
what the
yeah,
band stands for and it does and should entail. So
exactly.
it's a nice band to operate in for various reasons. It really is.
And how did you find Vault of Horrors? Because that's very, like because with the, the kind of, particularly with the guest vocalist and that, it's got, and that the overall concept that really, I think it worked quite well. Like you said, the catalog is very strong, but I think that was also a bit of, so obviously that creative approach would have been super useful to kind of step in and add that, a little bit of, flavor. Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally, totally. Um, so when I joined the band, amongst the things that I did for auditioning for the band was I wrote quite a bit of songs, and most of those songs ended up on the album, uh, and more obviously. But that's kind of amongst the things that I'm very thankful for getting to be trusted for is that I got to join the band basically and immediately start writing for it and kind of have quite a bit of say in the stylistic approach and the kind of general direction creatively that we took. So it was definitely quite a bit of work. It was a lot. It was quite a bit to like kind of put it all
Yeah.
together. But at the same time, it felt like just moving in one direction the entire
Mm.
time, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
wasn't it wasn't a push-pull kind of thing or
Yeah.
anything
Yeah. Yeah.
or any sort of like, different ideas about anything. It was very just kind of like focused, very clear. So there was a very good approach and a good experience in that way, that I got to just like kind of work on the bulk of the material. We then went to the studio together, kind of finessed some things, and our producer Dave Otero in Denver
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of like he took over the reins as soon as we got there. So it was very good to have somebody like that at the helm, somebody who's very experienced and has a plethora of amazing records, on his back. So it was very cool to get him to be on board with us for that. And at this point, I think he's just like he's a part of our team, fundamentally because he's just like he really gets what the band goes for. And I think, in my opinion, obviously I'm biased, but I
Yeah.
think the new album exemplifies the band the best so
Yeah,
far,
I think so. Yeah, because I've heard that Dave is very hands-on as well. I've heard that from other people as well, and so that you can
Mhm.
see that. Yeah, I think it's definitely, you always, you want your next record to be the best, but I think it does definitely step it up a bit. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's definitely there's no
Yeah.
there's no kind of dithering albums in that catalog, but it definitely stands out. I think it's got a bit more punch and a little bit different, which is good. What you want as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what Dave is really good at is that he invests himself in the band, in the record and the process as well. He cares about how it's going to end up. So he's definitely willing to kind of go that extra mile whether it's time or other efforts or, you know, redoing any sort of tone or approach. Like,
Mm,
he has immense patience, but at the same time, he also is opinionated and is good at arguing for those opinions. And rather than going for compromises all the time,
yeah.
you kind of end up with like, well, let's just make this decision. And you kind of everybody kind of comes to the terms like, well, that is the correct decision, and therefore you kind of, this is just my, thoughts on it, but I think that with that, you end up with a product that is more concentrated. You end up with something that is like clear because you have somebody who is like, has like a few bullet points whom you can always get to again. When ideas come up, it's like, well, but this is one of the points we're going for. So let's
Yeah.
keep down that road. So yeah, I think he's fantastic to work with and just like a great guy overall. Very, very cool. We're
Yeah,
very
no, I
lucky.
mean it obviously shows. Um, and so you guys are playing Froth and Fury, which is like a bigger festival in Australia and pretty new, but it's all because obviously the band has toured here before. I've seen them before, but I think
Mhm.
it's so what's the kind of expectation? Obviously you guys have played big shows in Europe and you played the States. So because have you been to Australia before? I don't know what your expectation, because I know obviously
I
the
ha
band, you haven't been out to
Right.
Australia before, or
I haven't. I haven't.
yeah, yeah.
So this will be my first time in Australia, so I'm definitely very excited for that. I don't know exactly what to expect since, I mean, I've heard certain things from the band obviously
Yeah,
before, some family that I know that has lived there. Um and I'm very excited to experience it. I have literally heard nothing but good things about anything
yeah.
in Australia. So, I'm quite excited for that. It's actually an old thing that whenever people try to kind of dissect the Icelandic psyche, the kind of how the general Icelander thinks and goes about things,
Yeah.
we are oftentimes compared to Australians in many ways. So I think it's kind of interesting. It's gonna be fun to experience that and see that for myself. But I mean, I think Australia is an immensely interesting country with various facets of things that I'm very excited to experience. So I think it's just going to be a fun time all around. But as you said, the band hasn't been in Australia since, uh, I don't really know exactly, 2018, maybe
I think so.
17,
Yeah, that's
thereabouts.
what. Yeah,
Uh, I think they were there with the Black Dahlia at some
that's
of one of those
yeah.
years. Which I know was a great time for the guys. So I think it's gonna be. I mean, I think it's gonna be even better if anything. It's
Oh,
the
absolutely.
good thing that the cool thing about having this particular package, Aborted and Archspire, because these we've toured together before,
Yeah,
fairly
absolutely.
recently, is that both these bands are quite close, personally, but they're also relatively close when it comes to kind of the musical approach and also how we go about the crowd engagement. So it's going to be a very, very fun show to attend, I would say,
Oh,
because
absolutely.
it's
Yeah.
because the crowd is as much of a part of the show as the band is. So it's kind of like yeah, I think both bands are very, very, it's very important to them that the live show comes across well and that people have fun. So I'm very stoked for that package. I think it's going to be very cool.
Yeah, I think because both bands do the crowd interaction really well. I think it's not passive, and I mean that's like a lot of bands, and we know that
Right, right, right.
some genres, like even black metal or post metal gets a bit. There's a bit of separation, but I think yeah, both of the Aborted and Archspire, 100%. There's that interaction. I've seen that on the previous tours, and
Totally, totally,
yeah,
totally.
and
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 organectomy as well. I mean, we
oh
with
yeah,
our European tour, we had them on for that one as well. So I
oh
mean,
wow,
it's gonna be fantastic to see those guys again. Those guys go super hard. So I mean, it's maybe the best way to start a show is
yeah,
with a good and like a crazy heavy band like that
but
just like comes across so heavy and like just hard hitting. They're very good, very good.
that's as we'd say, that's both barrels of the shotgun at once. That's definitely um, I think it's good too. The tour has been pretty well received the previous years, and I think it's got a very solid lineup, and it's in our kind of summer as well. So I think,
Right.
you're also hitting the far side of Australia, as in like Perth, and that's the most, that's the furthest point from all major cities in Australia. So it's very, um, yeah, the response is always very good when they have things over there, because they often, those states like South Australia and Western Australia, they miss out on the tours. It's very East Coast
Yeah.
kind of, because I'm from Melbourne, so they do that East Coast run and they miss out. So I think it'd be fantastic. And obviously it's, Abbott, Soulfly, and obviously Nail Bomb as well. It's going to be well received. So I think it'd be very,
Definitely.
that's awesome. I was going to say, so how do you, I was going to say, you're juggling a few bands in between, because you're also in, I won't even get
In
that name, the
in Miss
Misery
Air?
one, which I
Yeah,
love.
yeah, yeah.
You
Right.
joined
Oh,
them.
that's cool.
Yeah, oh, they're fantastic, man. They've got a great catalog, and that's a talk about variety. So,
Right, right.
how do you juggle all of that yourself? Because it's not, obviously, is it is it a matter of, obviously? So, does it aborted pretty much takes up most of your time, or where does that kind of sit, depending on the tour cycle, of course?
Well, in general, yes. I mean, aborted is my main thing, and
Yeah, yeah,
aborted definitely always has priority. So but for the other bands, they every band operates slightly differently, right?
yeah, yeah,
So with in Miss Air, for example, that band has kind of always operated sort of as a collective. Whereas like somebody taps out for a second and somebody else
mm,
comes in and kind of takes over to keep the ball rolling. In Miss Air also does quite a bit here in Iceland,
yeah.
because it's kind of it just has a good following here, and it just kind of we do a fair bit of shows here, like in between things. With Ophidian, I do most things pertaining to that band.
Mm,
So I definitely try to juggle these things as well as I possibly can,
yeah,
but there is an inevitable clash, at some points. But then it's just good to keep you just have it's clear, aborted is the
yeah, yeah,
priority. So I mean, if there's something that needs to be tended to there, that is what I will be tending to, and as soon
yeah,
as that's done, I move on to the next thing, and it's worked pretty fine so far. But I'm not gonna pretend that it's easy,
yeah,
It's
yeah.
not always simple, but it's kind of you choose the problems you want in life,
That's yeah.
and those are the problems that I like. So
Yeah,
it's
it's
all
good.
good.
It's a good problem to have. Clashes are going to come up, and it's going to be. But hey, that's all
Yeah,
right. That's not
yeah,
a.
absolutely.
So I was going to say, for the kind of underground people, I was going to say, what's one thing that people might not know about being in a band like Aborted that tours, pretty strongly when you have that peak, and also, that high technical kind of standard. So what's something people might not know about the band that's kind of could be surprising, because it's very, um, what I'm saying is it's very unrelenting, isn't it? Really, like it's
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
Um,
Well, as far as what people maybe might not know when they check out the band or listen to it
mm,
is honestly maybe like just the live show, really. I think the
mm,
live show comes as a surprise to many because people will look up the band and put it in a certain category. But it's actually a band that like yeah, engages people quite a lot more than maybe is the general norm in death metal. So I think that I know for a fact that we gain a lot of fans throughout our live performances. So I do think that the new record kind of maybe puts those elements forth a little bit clearer. So you kind of maybe get that feeling a little stronger when you listen to the band. They're like, oh, this is probably going to be pretty cool live. But I think that still comes as a surprise to many that they see the
yeah,
band live. They see that Sven is hilarious while also being, moving around like a gymnast on steroids, as is probably most gymnasts.
yeah,
But it's kind of just like it's just a fun time
yeah,
overall, which is just kind of like how we want it to be. Other than that, I would say that the band is pretty like dull in many ways. Like as far as like behind the curtains type of deal,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know. All of us are very like kind of straightforward guys that just sort of, take it easy and
yeah,
live a simple life, So there's nothing wild going on there, you know.
yeah. That's often the way, isn't it? Really, it's not as
Yeah, right.
yeah, beyond the mystique, but yeah. So I think it's
Yeah.
yeah. I think it's people that haven't seen the band before. I think they got a lot to look forward to because I've previous times I've really enjoyed it. I think it's just whether it's going to be in the more kind of club settings, the smaller settings, or the
Right,
the two
right.
festival appearances. I think it's gonna it'll be
It's
it's
a nice
perfect timing.
broad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Um, Thank you so much for having a chat, and also for your body of work is very good yourself, as well as Aborted's work has been very good, but yourself you're a very busy man, doing a lot of things and obviously enjoying it. So I think you'll have a great time when you come out. It'll be fantastic. So yeah,
I can't wait. Thank you so much, Mark. I appreciate that a lot. That's I'm very fortunate to be where I am, so I'm very excited.
yeah,
Definitely.
100%.
Mm.
All right, well, thank you so much. I'll leave you to it, and we will see you in January.
Likewise, buddy. See you there. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
All
you for
right.
taking the time.
Yeah.
See ya.
All right. Take care.